put the up, so that doesn't help. Okay, is that before or after you want to be?
It should be one more. Oh, come on. Is that it?
Oh, I don't know, dude. Is this it? This is the document.
Yes, that's it exactly.
From 519.
Exactly. Okay.
Okay, this is page 461 then. And you can see this, Miss Preston?
Yeah, it's a little small.
Okay, I'll make it bigger.
Okay, thank you.
Where's my, I can make it bigger sign. There it is. Does that help?
That definitely helps. Thank you.
Okay.
Do you recognize this document?
I don't recognize it, but it clearly looks like a 15807C.
Okay, and do you know who Mr. Sonnenberg and Mr. Polson are?
I do.
Okay, who are they?
Matt Polson, as I just stated, is an internal affairs investigator. At the time of this investigation, Joe Sonnenberg was an internal affairs investigator. He is now the internal affairs supervisor.
Okay, so they both work for you, right?
That's correct.
Okay, and was Mr. Sonnenberg was promoted after the escape, is that right?
Yes.
Okay. So, and because what I'm saying is these investigators, Mr. Sonnenberg and Mr. Paulson, wouldn't be out rogue investigating, right? They're only investigating.
What do you mean by rogue investigating?
Right. They're just conducting investigations on your behalf, right?
Oh, I would say on the behalf of the divisions or the secretary's office. Yes.
Okay. So, but you're also able to identify based on this document that this is a document related to the escape from Colombia?
Yes, it appears to be.
Okay, who is being interviewed at this point, if you know?
It looks like it's Doug Percy.
Okay, and then it says subject to the investigation. Do you see that?
Yes, it says Sue Novak.
What does that mean to you?
That is always listed on the as the person who is the subject of the investigation, who the person is being interviewed for.
Okay, so that's the possible work rule violator, right?
Sure. Yes, that's accurate.
Okay, I can give you a second if you need it.
Nope, I'm good.
All right. So then again, there's two check boxes. Do you see that?
Yes.
What are the point of those check boxes?
Just to identify further the items that need to be taken or steps that need to be taken, excuse me, if somebody is a witness or a subject.
Right, because that's for the garrity rights, right?
Yes. No, it's not. Sorry. That's a different document.
Okay. So this is, what is the top check mark? What did that indicate to Mr. Percy, if you know?
That indicated to, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know. I see two different check marks. Maybe I'm looking at the wrong ones. I'm sorry. Do you mean those? Okay. I thought you meant the ones to the right of Doug Percy's name. Sorry.
We're looking at
we're talking about review each of the following steps.
Yes.
Okay.
Great. Thanks. And can you restate the question?
What is the purpose of those check marks?
It's actually a prompt for the investigator to remind them of the things that they need to say to the person, and it differs if the person is a witness or a subject.
Okay, and you believe Mr. Sonnenberg and Mr. Polson have been trained in how to do that?
Yes.
Okay, and have you been trained in how to do that?
Yes.
Okay, so then do you know why Mr. Percy is being interviewed here?
I don't recall exactly why we talked to him. No. To clarify, why Internal Affairs talked to him.
Okay, and could Mr. Sonnenberg interview Mr. Percy on his own volition, on his own authority?
Yes.
Okay, did that happen here?
I don't recall if that happened here.
Do you recall if you authorized it or somebody else?
I don't. I may have. I don't recall who did.
Okay. If we can go down the next page, Judge, when you're ready.
Going to the next page then.
Okay. Yes. Sorry, no, at the bottom there it says Q10, answer 10. Yeah, that's what we're talking about.
Okay, we're now on page 462, Respondents Exhibit 12. Go ahead.
Okay. Do you see there where Mr. Percy is asking Internal Affairs to check his phone records?
You're looking at what line are you looking at, please?
Question 10 through answer 11.
Okay, yes.
Okay. Does that refresh your recollection as to whether or not the your office looked for Mr. Percy's phone records at any time with regard to the escape?
I don't recall if we did following this interview or not.
Okay. And again, it would have been the division administrator that would have had to authorize the search of his phone records, right?
Yes.
Okay. How would you have made that request to the division administrator if that happened?
So there is a document where we request what's typically called a computer investigation, but it does also include phone records that we submit to the administrator.
Okay. Would that be attached to the packet?
Yes, if we used it, then it would be attached to the packet.
Okay. So we can say if it's not in the packet, then based on your knowledge and understanding and experience with this process, we can safely say that it didn't happen, right?
Yeah, so I would say if it is not the packet, then it most likely did not occur.
Okay. Now, um, I asked you before if you recalled whether or not Mr. Percy said that he had recalled having the telephone conversation with Sue Novak prior to the escape. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Okay. And did do you recall Mr. Percy's answer?
I don't.
Okay, but at one point you knew it?
Yes.
Okay. So, Judge, just one second. So this is the interview of Mr. Percy at 5:20. So that's I think it starts 3 pages down.
Okay, so you want me to move it?
Yeah, if you can scroll down 3 pages, please, or to the end of this document.
Seems to be a lot more than 3 pages down.
I'm not
Okay,
the best
that looks like it
counter.
might be the end.
Yeah, as there.
Okay, so we are now on Respondents Exhibit 12, and we are on page 467. Go ahead, and if you want to witness, identify
Okay.
this.
And based on the information in this heading there, are you able to identify this document?
Yes. It appears to be a 15807C.
Okay, and it's the person being interviewed is whom?
It appears to be Doug Percy.
Okay, and it's just an interview that takes place on the next day. Is that right?
That's what the document states, yes.
Okay. Now, if we can just look at the beginning of the next page, or it's around Q12, I think, Judge.
Okay, we're on page 468, question 12. Is that what you want?
Yeah, and I'm at question 13 actually. So I'm
Okay.
gonna read here, and it says, okay, did you give any advice to or any direction to Warden Novak regarding placing people out on leave or anything like that? Do you see that?
Yes.
Then you see Mr. Percy's response.
Yes.
Does that refresh your recollection on Mr. Percy's response?
Yes to that question. Yes.
Okay, what did Mr. Percy say with regard to the allegation that he was alerted about the kitchen worker prior to the escape?
Well, I don't know. I'd have to continue reading because that to me doesn't talk. That question 13 doesn't talk specifically about the kitchen worker.
Okay. So if we can go to question 19, Judge.
I'm gonna just let her scroll with me so she feels
Yep.
that's gonna help her to understand.
Oh, do you want? Are you
Context.
asking me to read then? Is that?
Just to yourself so that we can get to 19 and you can tell us maybe the whole context will help you understand. I haven't read it, so I just thought it might be more beneficial if you did.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
Okay, so now we are on page 469. Tell us when you're done.
Do you want me to read everything that's present? Is
I
that
just
what
want
you're?
you, are you familiar? Can you be familiar enough with question and answer 9 here? I think that'll help.
9 or
19.
19.
19? Okay. Thank you. Okay, I am completed through 19.
Does that help refresh your recollection?
Yes.
Okay. And what was did Mr. Percy admit to receiving phone calls prior to the escape?
Well, I don't know this. I'm reading question 19 and I read it as this is after the escape.
Okay. No, I think you're maybe right there. There is a bunch of back and forth on that.
Sure.
Okay. So I guess we'll go up to question 12, please.
All right, we're back on page 468.
Does that help direct you to his response regarding calls prior to the escape?
I'm sorry, you said question 9?
12.
12. Okay, sorry. Is it possible for you to scroll up just to like 9 maybe?
Oh.
Okay. Thanks. I just need a little context. Okay, I have read it. Can you please restate your question?
Sure. Does this refresh your recollection on what Mr. Percy's response on being questioned regarding his knowledge or his being called by Warden Novak prior to the escape.
Yes.
Okay, how does that help refresh your memory?
Yeah, so I read this that he believes he was contacted about the kitchen and some concerns.
Okay. Now, and given your role as head of internal affairs, did you, and I guess you took part in this IRT meeting, right?
Yes.
Okay. During that IRT meeting, did you raise the fact that Doug Percy had apparently had a conversation with Sue Novak prior to the escape?
No, all the evidence and documents were available to the people prior to the IRT, and it is assumed that they have reviewed all of them.
Okay. Did they ever talk about that fact during that meeting?
I don't recall a specific conversation about it, but it was a long time ago, so I don't remember.
Okay. So, given the fact, so if nobody had said anything about it, but you were aware of this issue, why didn't you raise this issue during that meeting?
Object to the word issue.
Well, okay, if you're aware of the fact that Warden Novak, Mr. Percy doesn't deny that he had talked to Mr. Warden Novak prior to the escape, why didn't you raise that fact at the MAT meeting?
Look, do you mean the MAT meeting or the IRT?
Both, but let's start with IRT. I'm sorry, and thanks for that clarification.
Mm-hmm. I didn't well, I don't recall the conversations, I guess. I don't know what was discussed.
Okay, but you do know that there was discipline imposed, right?
Objection
No.
to vague.
Well, sorry, you do know what happened as the outcome of that meeting, right?
Was there only one meeting or there's more than
The
one?
IRT meeting, yeah, right? Is there more than one IRT meeting? Fair enough.
There was one IRT meeting, I believe, for this case. At the end, I know that there were work rules and we were requested to go to a predisciplinary meeting.
Okay, we were requested to go to a predisciplinary meeting?
Sorry, Internal Affairs was requested to conduct a predisciplinary interview with Warden Novak.
Who requested this?
The administrator.
We're talking about Ms. Fesai, right?
Yes.
Okay, and you knew that, right?
I knew what?
You always knew that. I mean, it was just, again, it'd be easier if you just say Director Fesai ordered Internal Affairs or ordered the IRT to go and then do an investigation of work rule violations on Warden Novak.
Well,
So
I'm just answering the questions that you're asking me.
okay, moving on from that then, do you know why Director Fesai or Administrator Fesai made that recommendation?
No.
She didn't
Can I
say?
stop sharing?
Yes, please.
Go ahead. And you were saying, did she what something?
Did she tell you why she made that recommendation?
No.
Okay. And again, you didn't, after she gave you that order, you didn't say, what about the fact that this fence was up, installed incorrectly prior to her installation as warden, right?
Correct.
And you didn't say anything about Doug Percy, did you?
Not that I recall.
Okay. Why not?
Well, because we discussed any issues prior to recommendation to go to predisciplinary meeting.
What does that mean? Oh, so you had a private conversation with Ms. Fesai prior to this meeting?
No. I'm talking IRTs in general. You discuss the case and then a decision is made whether or not the case is going to go to a predisciplinary meeting. And so to answer your questions, did I have any response to Magda Fesahaya after a decision had made? That would be no.
Okay. And you didn't have it before either, right?
No, not that I recall.
Okay. And did anybody at that meeting raise that issue about the fence?
Not that I recall.
How about, did anybody at that meeting raise the issue with Doug Percy?
Not that I recall.
Okay. Now let's talk about the MAT meeting. You ready for that?
Sure.
Okay. You participated in that meeting?
I do.
All right. So, but specifically the one on Sue Novak, right?
No, there was no MAT meeting for Sue Novak.
Okay. What, did you participate in any other meetings regarding Sue Novak?
Not that I recall, no.
Okay. So, again, despite the fact that you knew that, well, let's go again. Do you know, I'm going to call it a last chance hearing, but you guys may have a different name for it. So there's a Supreme Court case called Loudermill, which entitles government employees to talk to the decision maker prior to the imposition of any discipline. Is that your understanding?
Yes.
Object to relevance, Judge.
Okay,
I don't, well, just go ahead. Let's just get it over with.
thank you. So did Sue Novak make such a statement, to your knowledge?
She participated in what we call a predisciplinary meeting, and she, I believe she did either provide verbal or written statements. Correct. Yes.
Okay, and that pre-disciplinary meeting happened because Mac Fesai ordered it to happen, right?
Well, yes. I mean, the IRT team decided that work rules were violated, and then it moves to predis. Yes.
Sure, but Mac was the one who made the decision for the team, so-called, right?
Yes.
Okay. So, once you were ordered to do that, what did you then do?
Well, I didn't conduct the predisciplinary meeting. That was conducted by Joe Sonnenberg, and I'm not sure if it was Matt or somebody else who conducted that predisciplinary meeting. So they scheduled it and met with Warden Novak and a personal representative if she chose to have one.
So, Mac told Mr. Sonnenberg directly to conduct this meeting or something else?
No, I would have assigned it to Joe.
Right. Okay. So, did you give him any instructions when you assigned him to do that?
No, just to conduct the meeting.
Okay. What work rule violations did you inform him to conduct the meeting based on?
I don't recall what ones they were.
But at that meeting, the IRT meeting that you were a part of, that the work rule violations were identified, correct?
Yes,
Okay, and you don't recall, right?
I don't recall.
Okay, it's also at that meeting that MACTA ordered you to start this investigation based on the identification of those work rule violations, right?
Start what investigation?
Sorry, the pre-disciplinary hearing.
Yes. Yes. If work rules are determined to have been violated and the request is to go to predis, then yes.
Okay. And again, did Mr. Sonnenberg say at any time, well, what about the fact that we knew this fence was constructed improperly prior to Warden Novak's tenure?
Not that I recall.
Okay. And did he say, what about the fact that Mr. Percy said that he had had a conversation with Ms. Novak?
Not that I recall.
Okay. So, and again, you signed a document moving the, saying that there was reason to have an IRT meeting based on work rule violations, right?
I submitted a document. I don't sign anything.
Okay. But when you submitted that document, did you knew that there was information in that document that was not true, right?
No.
Well, you knew that Warden Novak, that the Department of Corrections knew about the situation of the fence prior to Warden Novak's tenure, right?
I'm going to object. That's a mischaracterization of the evidence and testimony.
The question again, please.
You knew that prior to the submission of the alleged work rule violations to the IRT team, that the fence had been constructed in that improperly prior to Sue Novak's tenure, correct?
I think you testified to that earlier, didn't you? I don't
Yes.
remember.
Okay.
And was your answer correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Right. So that's a false statement, right?
What is a false statement?
That she violated work rule violations based on the condition of that fence.
I don't think I can answer that question because, like I stated before, I don't remember what the work rule justification was. So it's hard for me to answer that question.
Okay. But then you and nobody else authorized that, right?
Authorize what? When you say that, what do you mean?
Authorized the removal of the investigation to the IRT team.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
Every case has to go to IRT.
Yeah, but
Regardless
only
if there's
after
work-
you submit documents, right?
You cut off in the beginning, sorry.
The IRT meeting doesn't happen unless you do something first, right?
Correct.
Okay. And you did that first, didn't you?
Did what first?
Whatever it is that you have to do to start the IRT meeting.
Judge, if we could get clarification here, it seems as though they're talking past each other at this point.
Could you please get a base of understanding that both of you know what you're talking about?
I got it. Okay. There is a document that you submitted that was a precursor to the IRT meeting, right?
Yes.
Okay. That document contains.
Can we, no. Can we have a name for that document if there is one?
Sure. When I submit a case, I submit the 15807 plus all exhibits for the case.
Okay.
That's your IA's 15807, is that correct?
No, the 15807 is actually, it's a state form. It's a DOA form.
Yes, but the version you're giving is the one that comes out of IA.
Yeah, it initiates through the division. We fill in our information and then it goes back to the division. So,
But you were telling us before that the way in which you submit it is not necessarily the final format it looks in when it's finally done.
yes, it's never the final. Correct.
Okay. And so the things you might have put into it, they may have changed.
Perhaps.
Okay, go ahead, Mr. Crowe.